The Protestant Reformation tore through Europe with a violence aimed squarely at the physical objects of Catholic worship. Statues were smashed, relics were burnt and thrown into rivers, and church walls that once glowed with gold and bone were left bare. For centuries, the faithful had touched, kissed, and prayed before the literal remains of saints, believing these fragments carried real spiritual power. Now that power was being stripped away city by city, and Rome faced a question with no easy answer. If the physical proof of divinity was gone, what would hold the loyalty of ordinary believers who had built their entire spiritual lives around it? In this video, we're digging into how the Catholic Church responded to that crisis by turning to an unlikely resource buried beneath its own capital. Stick around because the story only gets stranger from here. And if you want more forgotten histories like this one, subscribe so you don't miss it. The answer came from underground, quite literally. Workers and clergy exploring the ancient catacombs beneath Rome stumbled onto tens of thousands of skeletons, remnants of ordinary Romans buried centuries earlier with no names, no records, and no way of confirming who they had actually been in life. Church officials realized these anonymous bones could be repackaged as the remains of early Christian martyrs, people who had supposedly died for their faith during the persecution of the Roman Empire. There was no verification process worth mentioning. A skeleton found near a faded inscription or a symbol scratched into stone could be declared a martyr almost on the spot, given a new name and prepared for shipment. What followed was a calculated campaign to refill the spiritual void the Reformation had created. These bones, dressed in jewels and fine fabric, were sent to churches and monasteries across Catholic Europe as a direct answer to Protestant iconoclasm, a way of saying that Rome still possessed the tangible sacred objects that reformers claimed were empty superstition. It was a theology fought with human remains, a counteroffensive built not on scripture or argument, but on bones pulled from the ground and given a story worth believing in. Bones pulled from the catacombs needed identities before they could mean anything. And the process of assigning those identities had almost nothing to do with historical accuracy. A skull found near a faint red stain might be declared evidence of martyrdom by fire. A skeleton positioned close to a scratched palm branch could become a named saint who died defending the faith. Officials called on to authenticate these remains worked from guesswork and religious enthusiasm rather than forensic method. And once a name was assigned, that identity became permanent regardless of what evidence existed to support it. Turning a pile of anonymous bones into an object of veneration required its own workforce, and Rome built one. Relic hunters combed the catacombs for promising skeletons, while specialized handlers cleaned, arranged, and prepared the remainings for presentation. Skilled artisans dressed skeletons in silk and gemstones, wearing jawbones into permanent smiles, and posing skulls atop ornate robes to create figures fit for display in a cathedral. Teams organized transport routes running from Rome up through the Alps and into Germany, Austria, and beyond, moving these bodies with the same care and planning used for valuable trade goods. The scale of this operation turned decayed human remains into one of the most valuable forms of currency in Counter-Reformation Europe. A single named relic could secure a town's loyalty, draw pilgrims and their money into a struggling parish, or serve as a gift powerful enough to cement political alliances between the church and regional rulers. What began as anonymous bones in a forgotten tunnel became instruments of influence shipped by the thousands, each one carrying enough manufactured sanctity to shape the religious and political loyalties of entire communities. Once a skeleton arrived with its new saintly identity, the real transformation began in the workshops of convents and parish churches across Catholic Europe. Nuns spent months, sometimes years, wiring gemstones directly onto bone, threading gold filament through the eye sockets, and stitching pearls into the fabric wrapped around ribcages. Entire communities pooled their wealth into a single skeleton, competing with neighboring towns to produce the most dazzling figures their resources could buy. A skull might end up encrusted with hundreds of individual jewels, its jaw framed in gold leaf, its empty sockets filled with polished glass or precious stones designed to catch candlelight during Mass. This lavish treatment of human remains carried a message aimed directly at the reformers who had stripped their own churches bare. Where Protestant sanctuaries embraced plain walls and an adorned wood, Catholic communities answered with skeletons dripping in gold and silk. A visual argument that divine favor still rested with Rome, and that this favor came wrapped in material splendor. Pilgrims who walked into a church and encountered a fully jeweled skeleton propped in an ornate niche experienced something reformers could never offer: a physical, glittering proof of the sacred that overwhelmed the senses rather than appealing to scripture alone. These figures, later known as the Catacomb saints, became walking spectacles of both faith and fortune. A parish that acquired one could expect a surge in visitors, donations, and prestige, turning what began as an anonymous skeleton into the centerpiece of local religious life. The sheer expense poured into each figure functioned as propaganda in its purest form, communicating without a single word that the Catholic Church possessed both the wealth and the divine mandate to adorn death itself in the trappings of heaven. Thank you for watching. Until the next one.